What up, YouTube? Welcome back. So in this video, I just want to talk about and discuss and have some dialogue on what Monique had to say very recently in regards to black women, the sisters, and wearing bonnets in public. And she also mentioned, wearing slippers, pajamas, etc. Like wearing like clothes and articles of clothing that are meant to be worn inside your house, but wearing them outside of your house. And I'll say, disclaimer, I am team Monique on this, but I'm gonna be fair, I'm gonna be balanced, and I'm gonna try and, you know, explore the other side of it too. But disclaimer. All right. And, very recently Monique, she posted, I think at this point, 2 videos about this, saying that basically she was at the airport. She saw some sisters, too many to count, who were wearing bonnets, who were wearing pajamas, slippers to the airport. And, it just didn't sit well with her because, Monique, she's old school. She's like 53 years old. So she's more of the old school generation where it was like, you dress to impress, dress your best, be presentable, right? And I can definitely get on board with that. Overall, I can get on board with that. But for one reason or another, this is what Monique saw at the airport, right? And it inspired Monique and prompted her to make a video about it. Actually, 2 videos at this point. And I'll say ultimately, kudos to Monique for coming through and making a video about the topic. Because sometimes, we can stand to have a little bit of wisdom thrown our way, wisdom given to us. And to make a long story short, Monique basically said that to the sisters, basically black women, to look presentable when you leave the house. And basically no bonnets, right? And I saw some places on social media where it was like, nuh-uh, mind your business. And then some other places where it was like, yeah, I agree, and I'll just let you know what I think, you know. I saw someone post in the comment section saying that bonnets are not hairstyles, and I agree. And I do agree that you should have some pride in representing yourself in your presentation. And, within my own personal life, I've kind of low-key tried to step up my dress game, at least like at work. And I think some folks have noticed, you know. Um, and I know this might not be like an exact equivalency, but I think it's worthy to note. It's worth a mention at least, right? Where ultimately, I think sometimes we may not be aware, but basically, folks are watching. People are watching you, right? Even when you think they aren't, they are, right? And then I know some people gonna come through and be like, well, what does that matter? I keeps it real. I always keep it 100, one of them folks, right? And that's great. That's great. But you can also keep it 100 and be presentable. It's not like those two are mutually exclusive. You can do both. It's like, oh, nuh-uh. I'm keeping it real today. I can't be presentable, right? Where does that come from, right? Also, something that I thought of was, y'all remember a little while back when that whole Derek Jackson scandal was exposed with he, being like 10 years a cheat or whatever. He and his wife came on camera, and his wife she came on camera with a bonnet, and a lot of black women were like, ha ha and kikiing about it. And then there were some black women who were like, well, she depressed, she's sad, you don't look your best. Why y'all bashing her for wearing a bonnet? And I think the thing was that the black women, yeah, there are probably some black women just being, catty and just wanting to drag. But more so, it's like, why come on camera like that, though? Because this is a pre-recorded video. So, she could have took some time to just get herself together, style her hair, pick out some nice clothes to wear, etc. Right? But I guess she was just, hey, this is how you get it. All right? This is how you get it. But yeah, in that video, that video is still lingering on, still. So that's a bit of a lesson too. Like, you don't know. You got to make sure you're looking presentable, because the impression you leave may linger on. Right? And I also heard some black women coming through and saying like, well, this, what about black men and do-rags? Huh? What about black men and like wave caps? What about black men and sagging their pants? Huh? What about that? There's a good chance that the dudes with the do-rags, wave caps, and sagging pants are probably hood dudes. And it's a good chance that the girls wearing the bonnets, the pajamas, the slippers outside in public are probably the hood chicks. But, I can understand where some women are coming from with that, where it's like, well, it doesn't seem like black men's choice in clothing and presentability and whatnot is being analyzed and critiqued. And I don't think that's completely true, but I will say that there is a gender bias at play. I'll say it may not be overt, but I think at least low-key there is somewhat of a gender bias at play because of how we expect women to look versus how we expect men to look, and expectations. I think we expect more from women when it comes to looks than men. So I will say that there probably is a gender bias at play. But nevertheless, I am a little low-key annoyed that black women would be all like, well, what about black men? Well, do you want to be a black man, black woman? Do you want to? Probably not. You probably don't want to be a black man. So stop comparing yourself to a black man, right? Same thing if a black man came up and said, well, look at them black women over there. They wearing weave. They wearing makeup. Well, do you want to wear weave and makeup too, black man? Well, you can go ahead and do that. Right? But I'll be fair and say that there is a gender bias at play. So I will, concede to that and acknowledge that. That does need to be acknowledged. But I'll give a personal story right quick of my own personal life when it comes to do-rags and wave caps. I never really sag my pants. I'm not really much of a sagger. Right? It's just not my thing. Right? But I did have a couple of moments where I have worn like do-rags and wave caps to work. And this was like a warehouse job. So it's a bit different, right? And it was like more so white leaning in terms of the demographics of the job. Like, the racial breakdown of the people who work there. And for me, it was more so, I was approached, I guess, I don't know, more so with curiosity. Like, what is that? It was like, when I wore the do-rag, it was a white do-rag. And it was like, what is that? They're like, oh, it's a do-rag or something. Oh, Then when I wore the wave cap, it was like, oh, are you Islamic or Jewish? Seriously. And that has happened to me when I wore the wave caps Oh, actually on here a couple of times, but also in my day-to-day life, that has happened to me a couple of times too. Like, a person just came up to me like, "Hey, are you like Muslim or something like that?" Seriously. Um, but yeah, so I have done that a couple of times myself. Overall, if I'm out and about and I'm like, a bit of bad hair day going on, I would just do the cap with a wave cap under, right? That's a bit more presentable. So I think that would be a good alternative for the women out there who maybe feel like, well, my hair is not quite presentable. Maybe I should, put something over it, etc. Maybe that would be a good alternative to do. Um, in terms of the sagging pants, though, um, I feel like the sagging pants, we as a community, like the Black community, I feel like we low key want to defend that and keep that going. Um, Even when it's amongst ourselves, like, and we're having a conversation, I can understand when it's like outsiders, you know, speaking on some things about what Black people do, but also when it comes to Black people within the community, then it's like if you have a problem with sagging pants or do-rags, bonnets, whatever, it turns into like, oh, you're being classist, elitist, you bougie, right? You uppity, sedity, whatever, right? And not saying that those things aren't necessarily valid, because I think there is some validity in that. But I do think that there is also validity in just proper presentation of yourself. That's important. And I really hope that none of these people out here are wearing like bonnets, do-rags, sagging pants to like job interviews or anything like that. Like important things. Because at my job, we have been interviewing folks, and I have been helping interview folks. And there was just one guy, I actually didn't see him, but my supervisor saw him, and he was scheduled to come in for an interview. He was supposed to come at 12. He came at about 11:20, 40 minutes early. That's a bit too early, but okay. He was wearing, to a job interview, he was wearing shorts and a polo shirt. I don't know what race the guy was. I'm thinking he might have been like maybe some type of native African based on the last name. I'm not sure. I never saw him. Race was never mentioned. All right. My supervisor is Black. The department that he's interviewing to come into is pretty much exclusively Black at this point. So, nevertheless, he came into the my supervisor interviewed him, and then the head of our department said basically, if he ain't cutting it, don't waste our time, right? Because usually it was supposed to be the supervisor and then the head of the department and then myself and two other coworkers, right? But yeah, he came to the interview with a polo shirt and some shorts on, and I think even his body language was a bit like, you know, like, like like you just chilling out here, like you just know you got this job in the bag. And honestly, even from the resume was freaking crazy, right? The resume was 10 pages long, right off. So right off, I'm like, what? And also the job descriptions were, the work history was a bit weird because there's never no long-term employment. He said he's presently working at 3 jobs at the moment. The education was weird too. He had an associate's degree, no mention of a bachelor's degree, but he has a master's degree, but he also is in the program for a master's degree and a program for a PhD at the moment, both simultaneously, per his resume. The resume was weird, all right? Based off the resume, I was like, nah, right? But I say all that to say that presentability is important, and the bonnets, the do-rags, sagging pants, etc., that does fall into presentability, or should I say, presentation, right? Being presentable. Presentability. It's the same. It's basically the same. Right. And y'all remember when Bill Cosby kind of came out a while ago, and that's like years ago, but spoke about the sagging pants thing, and he got pushback from it. And some people may say, well, it was because he did it in like an audience that wasn't like a black audience, and that could be true. But I also just think that it was just pushback just in general, because black people. I don't know, for some reason at times, black people seem to want to defend like kind of like poor representation, and also defend like sometimes even like the bottom 10%, like our undesirables. Sometimes folks just seem like so apt to defend and jump up and go to bat for. And it's like I don't see that when it comes to like say the top 10% are just like the in between. But I guess more folks can relate to the bottom 10% as black folks than say the top 10% as black folks. Right. But presentation is important, Say, a cop. A cop has to look, they have to wear uniforms, they have to look a certain way. I mean, if a cop wasn't in uniform, you'd be like, well, you're not a cop. It could be a cop, but he could be an off-duty cop, he could be an undercover cop, but you're used to a certain look, right? Businessmen, they have to present themselves in a certain way. Same with the business women, right? Medical personnel, right? They make sure to wear their scrubs, right? They're not in the doctor's office or hospital in jeans and sweatshirt or sweatpants and a shirt, right? So that is important. And some people, well, that's because it's a job. That's because it's you getting that money. So yeah, you gotta dress right. But sometimes even then, folks don't want to dress right. But yes, those things are jobs, and you may be referring to this as just like, well, this is my personal time, and I can dress how I want in my personal time because I's a black queen, and I can do that. And the same with our black kings too. You better leave our black kings alone. They can sack their pants however long they want to, all the way down to their ankles for all I care. That's a black king. But, those things, yes, it is your own time. Yes, yes, yes. But still, I think that being presentable goes a long way. Right. And also, if you are in the market for like a boyfriend or a husband or something, I think that being presentable, that's going to be playing a part in the guys that approach you, you know, because if you looking like you just rolled out of bed, probably the dudes who you may want to approach you probably may not approach you, like quote unquote the high value men, right? They probably are going to are more likely to approach the women who are presenting themselves in a more aesthetically pleasing way, you know? And, the same with you. You have certain things, for the black women out there, y'all have certain things that y'all look for when it comes to men and looks, right? And hey, we just live in a superficial society. I hate to break it to you, but, I keep it real on here. And looks matter. Let's be real. Looks matter. That's why people will pay, these companies that create products will pay a lot of money to do research on how to, make this product look so that it is the most enticing for a customer to purchase, right? They do a whole lot of research. And, I know about it because I worked in market research for a moment, right? They'll spend a lot of money. They'll even pay for your opinion, right? You can even get paid to give your opinion on certain things as a consumer. Oh yeah, it's never complete. These conversations are never complete without going back to Africa and being like, well, back in Africa, we used to wear bonnets and sag our pants. That's how the kings and queens used to do it back then. And I's a queen and my black king is a king. So that's how we gonna do the thing and make it bang. What? Right? You know. Then you know it's some dudes who want to come through too. They won't defend so much the bonnets. They probably ain't so quick to defend the Bonnetta, but they'll defend Sag and Tyrone, right? Do-Rad Lucci do. Wave Cap Fetty, right? And be all like, see, that's what's wrong. Y'all just trying to keep a brother down. See, that's when y'all got sick with that whiteness. As an individual, this my personal style. I don't hate on a black man. Why y'all hating on us so much? Oh, y'all got brainwashed by the media. Oh, y'all want to be white women because y'all want to hate on the black king. Oh, y'all just want to be the next token. Y'all just want to be black tokens. But not me. I'm an individual. I'm a black man. Alright. So y'all don't keep a brother down. Alright. Alright. But I guess that's all I got to say about this for the moment, at least. Right? But I guess I can say a bit more in defense of the the bonnets and the sagging pants and stuff. And I'll say that ultimately we do have a right to choose what we want to wear as long as it's within the confines of the law, right? It's not like, you can't just come out here not wearing clothes at all. That would be indecent exposure and you would be put in jail for that, right? So we have to at least stay within the confines of the law. And then folks want to come through and be all like, that's white supremacy. That's that whiteness. Then the extra educated folks are going to be all like, well, presentability is a white supremacist concept instructed by the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is linked to the and then it's linked to the heteronormative norm that permeates our culture. Yes, it does. Personability is steeped in white supremacy. Gender norms, gender roles are steeped in white supremacy. Okay. Hypergamy is steeped in white supremacy. All right. Bonnets, do-rags, and sagging pants are our way of fighting back against white supremacy. That's how you fight white supremacy. Wear your bonnet. You saw Derrick Jackson's wife, didn't you? She's going to war in her bonnet. Sag your pants, black man. That's how you get back at the man. But I said I was going to be fair. And I'll say that I can understand sometimes you may feel the need to cover your hair if your hair isn't the most presentable, it doesn't look the best. You may be between like perms, you may be between weaves, you may have just not styled your hair that day, may not have had time to style your hair that day, etc., etc. All right. And again, I had mentioned this earlier, but perhaps a hat, that could work. As far as the sagging the pants thing, didn't that come from prison culture? But black folks love prison culture. They pushed that in hip hop, and now it's just the thing, right? Sagging your pants like a black guy, right? That's the thing, right? And the do rags. Well, I'll say that is hair care in a way. I do have do rags. I haven't worn them in a while though. I do wear wave caps. I wear two actually. I have one that's under here, and I also wear this one too. It's good for like the sides, right? The way that it is designed, you'll see is like you'll see like right there is side and then top, right? But yeah, I wear that. I do leave the house with it on, but like I go right into my car though. So like I just wear it on my way to work, and then when I get to work, I take it off usually. Most of the time, I take it off. Pretty much, yeah. Just take it off when I get out the car from work, when I'm about to go to work or whatnot. Right, and it just gives it time to take its effect. Right. But again, I've gone on for long enough. Overall, we all have a right to wear what we want to wear as long as it's within the law, within the confines of the law. However, I will say take a moment to think about presentability, right? Take a moment to think about your presentation, right? I think, I'm starting to do that myself, even though I wouldn't say that I was just, out here just wearing a do-rag, sagging pants, all that. No, but still, presentation, I've been kind of like trying to be a bit more cognizant about clothing choices and things like that. And I think that, folks do notice, you know. So that got me to thinking, are they noticing when when I wasn't on point? Probably, yeah. Right. So yeah, it's just something to think about. But overall, that's all I gotta say for the moment. Just let me know what you think about this in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.